Hi everyone, Stepan here. Hopefully I do better than last time in this training game. Last time I had no idea what was going on in the position. And I played, I want to say 20 weird moves. Okay, the Dutch. I'm gonna play the London because, to be honest, I don't know anything else against the Dutch well enough to play it confidently. My opponent is 2378, so I want to get a position I know relatively well. And I also want to play quickly because I keep getting into time trouble. Now these tend to be very complex strategic battles, especially if he gets in b6, bishop b7. But white is always, I want to say, at least equal. Okay, if he's gonna play the stone wall, then I'm feeling slightly more confident because the bishop isn't getting to b7. Now, you can play these with bishop d3 or bishop e2. I always prefer bishop e2, but I don't know why. I just don't like taking on e4, I guess. So I'm gonna go bishop e2, even though bishop d3 is by far more popular. This makes more sense to me. So I would like to castle, go c4 and knight c3. And usually when you go c4, they go knight e4. I also have to be slightly careful. Okay. I don't understand why black would like to trade off the dark squared bishops. Strategically, this doesn't make much sense to me. So if I take, he probably takes with the pawn to be able to play e5 at some point, but that seems risky. If he takes with the queen, I think I go knight d2 and change plans to prevent queen b4 check. Yeah, he took with the queen. Am I afraid of f4? I don't think so. So I'm just gonna go knight d2. I didn't want to go knight e5 because of queen b4. The bishop hasn't developed yet, so I wouldn't have rook b2 there. Now against queen b4, I can go rook b1. Okay, I'm feeling slightly better that he castled kingside. Again, if I go knight e5, he's just gonna go knight d7. So I'm going to castle and see what he plays. I want to go c4, and I want to keep preventing e5 if I can. I didn't want to go knight e5, f4. I feel like that would have given away too many squares. And especially, I would have had a weakness on e3. So c4 seems sensible. I feel like I need to gain a foothold in the center. If he takes, of course, I'm gonna take with the knight, but he's not gonna take. I'm up 10 seconds on the clock, so that's good. I'm not low on time yet. Okay, c6. Now, rook c1 makes sense, because he is going to take with the c-pawn if I take. He still isn't taking on c4. He has e5, but if the queen ends up on e5, I get a tempo with knight f3, in which case it may be more useful to have my rook on d1, but my f-rook should go to d1. It's still not clear what he does with the bishop, because if he ever plays b6, I'm gonna go c5. If he plays knight b6, I go c5. If he plays e5, I can take, knight f3, Okay, rook c1 seems okay. Because also, if he plays e5, I potentially get the d4 square for my knight after knight f3, let's say queen somewhere, and knight d4. Maybe I should have played queen c2. But does that really prevent e5? Queen c2, e5, queen f5, knight e4. Seems scary. Okay, knight e4 now. Maybe he wants to go g5, g4. That would make sense. If I start undermining the queen side with c5, b4, b5, he plays e5 and breaks my center. If I take on d5, he takes with the c pawn, and I don't think I have anything there. So what do I do? Now if he plays g5, I can take and take. So that's not a concern yet. I think I need my rook on d1. So do I play queen c2 or queen b3? If he plays knight df6, I'm gonna play knight e5. So I think, okay, he may go rook f6. Okay, I'm still going to go queen c2, because in many positions I can go cd5, cd5, queen c7 if it gets too complicated. If rook f6, I think I do go cd5. Also, moving my f rook could run into knight f6, knight g4. But I still have knight e5, and his bishop is still no good. Is there any way for me to get my d2 knight to d3? I would really like to do that. So I could go knight e1, knight d3, knight f3, knight e5. Shuffle my knights that way. So for the moment f4 has been prevented because I take on e4 twice. And if I go knight e1, so I would need knight e1, knight f3, knight d3, knight e5. I would need 4 moves to secure the e5 square. And if I manage to secure e5, then everything is, I want to say, great, because I'm blocking the queen and there is no attack. And if there's no attack, then he's just playing with a very bad bishop. If he takes on d2, I think I take with the queen, because I want to prevent knight f6, or I want to have knight e5 against knight f6. I think what scares me most would be rook f6. b6 would run into cd5, cd5, queen c6, queen c6, rook c6, where his e6 pawn is attacked. He plays knight f6, I go knight e5. So he cannot develop the bishop just yet. If he goes knight f6 and I take on d5, he could consider taking with the knight. But then I take on e4, and what does he do? I'm 2 minutes up on the clock. Yes. That doesn't mean much. I tend to waste a ton of time in positions I don't understand well, and this could easily be one of them pretty soon, even though I think I'm feeling confident at the moment. So yeah, g5 definitely. Yeah, rook f6. Why did you play rook f6? Okay, so plan B. cd5, cd5, queen c7. Okay, I'm going for it. Unless he takes with the e-pawn. Oh. Whoa. I didn't expect this at all. I didn't expect this at all. Okay, so now I need to go for a standard minority attack. Unless he has something on the king side. So let's imagine his rook on h6. Does he have something? Because I really don't see anything concrete. So let's say rook h6, and I give him another move. Let's say I give him 2 moves. He has rook h6 and another move. Everything seems defended. So if I just go a3 and he goes a5, can I go b4 straight away? Queen b4? No. So I'm assuming that on a3 he has to go a5, because if I go b4, I'm breaking through. I definitely don't want to move my kingside pawns. If I move my rook to d1, it doesn't really do anything, but I get to play knight f1, which again I'm not sure I want to play. Okay, I'm going to go a3. I'm going for a minority attack because I want to go b5 eventually. I'm expecting a5. I don't see an attack coming. Even if he does play rook h6 or rook g6, I don't see anything very concrete. So I need to counterattack on the queen side. I mean, I don't want to play passively. I may also consider, after b4, if he allows it, knight b3, knight c5, where on knight b3, if he goes b6, why'd he take with the e-pawn? I mean, I get it. I don't get to evict his queen, but it still seems risky. At least now it's harder for him to get his d7 knight into play, meaning also the bishop. We're actually playing a Carlsbad structure where black has played f5. I don't think I've ever seen this from the Dutch. At least not against the London. I'm not used to this. Carlsbad with a pawn on f5. What does that mean? That means that black is securing the e4 square, which is the square black usually wants to secure in the Carlsbad, and the Queen's Gambit declined exchange variation. So it also means black has a very natural attack. I have my undermining plan, but the difference is that he cannot go anywhere with the bishop. So can an attack really be scary if he's playing with a knight, a rook, and a queen, and I have a knight defending? Let's say my bishop and my rook are not included. So let's just use my f3 knight. He would have to play knight g4 to have triple pressure on h2. Again, if he ever moves the d7 knight, I can just take on e4, even though it seems ugly, play knight e5, and undermine that center with f3. Okay, rook h6, but what does it do? He wants to go knight g5, but even if he does go knight g5, I can go, for example, rook d1, knight f3, knight f3. I don't see it. I don't see it, so I think I'm gonna go b4. b4, if he takes on h2, then knight h2. And again, there doesn't seem to be anything there, so I'm just going b4. I don't see it, so I'm not gonna be afraid of it. Unless he has g5 now. Oof. Oof. Why didn't I consider g5 now? I should have considered g5 now. Yep. Because g4 wins a pawn. Yeah, he should go g5. Because I cannot take now, because there's mate on h2. Yep. If he goes g5, I'm probably much worse. I should have played rook d1. Okay, okay. Okay, so now I go rook d1, and on g5 I have knight f1. However, if he takes on d2 now, or maybe I should go rook e1. Okay, no, I'm going rook e1 because after any f4 which he may play, my rook is open down the e file, and my rook on d1 is simply useless. So now if he takes on d2, I have to take with the queen, and he plays g5. I don't want to go h3. I would feel much better if I got my knight to f1. Okay. Is it time for knight e5? Everything is defended. Knight e5. Because now, even if I go f4, at some point, my rook is covering e1, his queen is blocked, and if he goes knight g4, I can go knight f1, or sorry, I cannot go knight f1, I have to take it. Yeah, I would have to take it, but it seems okay. Because then I can win the e4 pawn. So he probably prefaces that with knight d2. Knight d2, queen d2, knight g4. Bishop g4, fg4. His bishop still isn't really good, and I'm defending f2. Honestly, I don't know how to defend h2, but he would have to attack it with queen f6, queen h4. Which, yeah, that is scary. If he doesn't trade my knight on d2, then that's an extra defender I can use. I didn't really look at knight f2, but I don't think it works. Yeah, he takes on d2 first. Okay. Now can I go f4? I think I should go f4. f4. How can he put pressure on e3? He cannot. And his bishop also stays bad. If he takes on f4, I believe I take with the d pawn. Yeah, okay, I'm going f4. I need to keep control over e5. If I move my knight, I'm worse. Feeling pretty good about this now. We're basically in a structure which is symmetrical on the king's side. I have a backwards e-pawn, but I have a hold on e5, and his bishop is bad. So he would have to go bishop e6, bishop f7, bishop h5, just to trade it off, which I could well meet with queen d1. And I have ideas of queen c5, sorry. And okay. Now if he plays knight e4, I don't want to take it. Because he opens up his bishop. So queen b2 in anticipation of knight e4. Knight e4, a4. How does that look? I mean, it seems okay. The question is my queen too far away? The other question is, what if he plays knight g4? Do I take it or not? I don't think I take it. But he's on the e3 pawn. And also on h2. So I cannot go queen b2. So if I go bishop f3, on knight g4 I have h3, on knight e4 I have queen b2. Okay, I'm gonna play bishop f3. Not to take on e4, but to defend the pawn on e3 in case knight g4 comes. Also, this gives me the option to play g3. Okay. Now, if a4, knight e4, queen b2, that seems okay. I'm going a4. He wants to go bishop f7, and that's okay. Now, of course, I'm not going to take on f7. I want to go b5. Maybe he has c5. b5, c5? No, I can take on e4 and take dc5. He has 30 seconds on the clock. Okay, g5. Do I go g3? Do I go bishop e4 and fg5? No. Definitely not. If he goes g4, I'm going bishop e4. If he takes on f4, ef4 seems okay. So if he goes g4 and I take on e4, then he takes with the f pawn and has the f5 square for the bishop, which isn't something I want to do. I mean, I could also consider just going bishop d1 on g4. If I go b5, he doesn't have time for g4, because I take, he takes, I take on c6, and he cannot take back because of rook c6. So I think I can go b5. It's actually useful that my rook is on e1 now. So do I take on c6? Or do I take on f4? If I take on c6, he takes on e3. And if I allow him to take on b5, then he has rook b2 in the end. But wait, I have queen e8 check. He goes king g7. How scary is rook a2? I think I don't want to open up his bishop, so I'm gonna take on f4. I'm too afraid of f4, and I don't want to allow it. So cb5, queen b5, rook a2, queen e8 check, king g7. Okay, that makes me happy. He takes with the bishop. Okay. Is there any way to use f7? So if I go knight c6, bc6, queen b7, he has rook b8. Okay, I'm gonna go to k1, which may seem weird, but I want to take over the a file. I feel like I'm in control of the position now. And he doesn't have queen g6, he doesn't have anything, so if I can get rid of his a8 rook and take over the a file, I'm gonna be controlling more of the board. Okay, so now I can go rook ec1. And rook a7. So now knight c6, bc6, rook a7. Or rook a7 first. Or maybe even queen b6 first. Covering f7, smart. Although let's go rook a7, let's put pressure on his position. What is he doing? What happens on queen b6? How does he defend? Maybe he wants to go rook a8 now. Okay, so I'm gonna go rook a1 to prevent rook a8. I don't want to allow him to untangle. His bishop cannot move, his rooks don't have the a file. I'm controlling d2, so I'm controlling the knight. I'm gonna go queen b4. Okay, rook. No, I cannot move the rook. I'm gonna go h3 to give myself some luft. Okay, attacks my rook. I guess the rook has to move. I'm getting into time trouble, that's not good. He wants to trade queens, queen takes, rook takes. Okay. Now I have to defend d4. Ah, I'm losing control of this. I shouldn't have traded queens, but I was in time trouble. Yeah. What do I do? He needs to go rook f6, rook c8 loses a pawn. Yeah, smart. I don't know why I did this. I have no idea. I'm waiting for him to move the rook so that I can take on d5. So I wanted to lure him into playing rook a8. Now the rook's defended, so it didn't work. Let's improve the king. But I can take here. So bishop d5, if cd5 I can take the knight. If knight d4 I can take the knight. So I think this works. He has rook d8, but I can take on c6. Okay, so I think he needs to go king f8 here. Because otherwise I can go probably either rook c4 or rook a4. Yeah, I think this was a mistake. Because now rook a4 takes and rook a7 seems good. And he will not be able to defend h7. He probably takes with the pawn, he needs the best pawn. What do I do? Let's just get some time on the clock. Okay. Let's do this. I don't know if this is enough to win, but on d4 I go rook a7, I exchange a pair of rooks, and if his pawn goes too far, I don't want to draw, definitely. I'm going to play for a win. Okay, smart. But I get to trade rooks now. And my king is going to be in front of his passed pawn. And his king is cut off, which is good. He has rook g8. Yes, he has rook g8. Yeah, this is just a draw. But let's try to win it anyway. I mean, his king is cut off. I have a better king and I have an extra pawn. Now, these two, even without his f-pawn, is a draw with perfect play by black. But it's very hard to prove in an actual game. Okay, this is a good move. Wants to grab the pawn. Yeah. Now it is just a draw. King d4 was actually a blunder. So let's do this. I don't know why I'm doing this, but okay. Yeah, he's gonna go rook e4. My rook is too far away. Yeah, rook e4 draw. Rook e4, I move my rook somewhere, he takes, I go king e5, and that's about it. Unless he moves the rook away, then I defend my pawn and have winning chances. This is just a draw. If he takes on f4, it's a draw. If he doesn't take on f4, there's nothing to do. It's a draw. Yeah. Okay. Let's say good game. I think I had winning chances. I mean, let's actually... yeah, the engine says all draw, or the book says all draw. Let's have a look at the game. So, as you can see, bishop d3 is more common, but I like playing bishop e2. And on bishop d6, I know that you can play knight e5, bishop e5, c4, or take. Let's see what the engine says. The engine says castles and just preventing e5. That makes sense. He should have taken with the c pawn. That's actually what I'd expected. I actually faced this against a FIDE master, although I forgot his name, and it ended in a draw. But he was better. Let's see. This all seems okay. Queen c2. I mean, I don't know if you guys can see the engine evaluation. I know, okay, you can at least see the bar. So the engine says +1 here. Taking was a mistake. I should have played b3. What does b3 do? Okay, here's my plan with knight e1. The engine likes knight e1. Let's see if I had time for that. Knight f3. Let's say g5 and... Okay, I have to play g3, g4. No, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. So what's the point of knight e1? This seems very scary. The engine still says white is better, but look at this. If I saw this position, I would assume black is close to winning. But then again, I know nothing, so... cd5, ed5 best. Again, knight e1. And knight df3. Ah, that was a good plan. Why didn't I go for it? Okay, b4 correct. Rook e1 was a mistake. g3. Wow. Yeah, I should have gone g5. f4. Now I am in control. I mean, I think I had a win somewhere. Let's see. The engine says winning for white. Taking on c6 was better, but taking on f4 is almost the same. Rook a1, correct. Wait, rook f6 is the best move? Wow, he found this plan of challenging the a file. +7, no! Okay, let's see it. +7, knight takes c6, b takes c6. Idiot, idiot. Okay, I didn't see this, but what happens on queen h6? What? Okay, I can take on c6, I can see that. So what if he takes back? Ah, okay. And now there is no more defense. Ah, okay. Queen e1. Yeah, I asked myself at one point, how do I transfer my queen over there? Jesus, +7. I was looking at this. I didn't have time to speak, but I was looking at this. Yeah, queen e7, and if he takes, then he needs to give up the queen. This was very bad. Trading the queens was bad, and then taking on c6 is just dreadful. I just assumed that I'd have a trick with this. I wanted to do this. But of course, as I said, if he plays rook f6, I don't have anything. I took on d5, he took on d4, I took on d4. Rook b7 check is correct. Wait, what? This is very hard with 18 seconds on the clock. Okay, so I take, he takes. Take back. This is defended, so I'm threatening. Okay, what if he plays... Okay, who would see this with 18 seconds on the clock? Bishop e4 with mate on h7. This is really nice. Okay, 4. But I'm still +3. Mate in 18. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I had no idea that this was a winning endgame with this material on the board. Yeah. Okay, so what's the point? Let's see the point. what's the point? The engine just keeps repeating moves. Yeah, and this way I get two connected passed pawns. That's the difference. I messed up a winning position. This was, yeah, and this, I don't think I had any chances here. Yeah, at least this part I understood. This was, I have to say, the most fun I had playing a training game in a long time. I think this was really instructive and hard to convert, at least for me. So I'm going to analyze it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more chess. Bye bye.